Bible, go to Luke chapter 7. Luke chapter 7. Easy to find. Just find the red letters. And if you don't have red letters, let's get you a real Bible. Luke chapter 7. Find the red letters, you're going to be in Matthew, Mark, Luke, or John. If you hit Luke, don't turn any further. Luke chapter 7. We're not in any rush. We're taking our time. Want everybody to find it. Yeah, it's way back over here. Yeah, right there. Now, Luke 7. One more page. Excellent. Got it. There you go. All right, Jesus finishes teaching. He's taught them a storm's coming. If you want to be ready for the storm, you hear my words and put them into practice. If you don't hear my words, if you don't put them into practice, when the storm comes, you're going to have trouble. When he finishes those words, end of chapter 6, he goes to a town called Capernaum. See it? Chapter 7. Who's the first person you meet in Capernaum? A what?
Centurion.
A centurion. Now, real quick, and again, if you grew up going to Bible class, you heard centurion a lot, but you may not have been taught what it was. So talk to me a second. Centurion is a Roman soldier. Okay, now where is he? Where is this Roman soldier? In Capernaum. That's very good, yeah. All right, he's in Capernaum, which is not in Rome. It's in Israel. All right, very good. Y'all were leaving me hanging. All right. A Roman soldier in an Israelite town. Your reaction. Tell me what you see. What's real? Talk about we're talking about the real Jesus, right? Being in the real world, dealing with real people. Look at it. The Roman Empire had an outpost, had a fort in Capernaum. Centurion is one of those soldiers. Your reaction, if you're from Israel, what's your reaction toward a Roman soldier in your town? You hate him, you resent him, and anything that anybody in that Roman army ever did that was against you or hurt somebody you knew or somebody you loved, man, you held it against him, right? That's you look at those people and say, oh, I know what he stands for. I know what he's like, right? All right, it would be like, how far you want to go back? I remember, I remember reading. I started to say I remember, and then I thought, no, I'm not that old. But I remember reading in history when Germany invaded France and took over France. Germany posted soldiers in France for what purpose? To control the people, right? All right, now, then my dad was on a ship in the Navy, and at the end of World War II, after Japan surrendered, he was a part of an occupying force that put soldiers, American soldiers, in Japan. How might the Japanese have felt about men like my father? Invaders. Same thing. They could see them as invaders, enemy combatants. They could see them as all the negative things visited there, right? All the negative things focused on that man. Here is a man who is an outsider in every way. He is not a Jewish person. He's a Roman person, probably has a Roman pagan type religious training, and he's in a Jewish city. But now tell me about him. He's different. He's different than other soldiers. He's different than other Romans. What do you know about him? Look in the text. What do you know? What are the Jewish folks? What are the people that are a part of that town? What do they think about him? I know he's a slave owner, and he's got a slave, a highly valued slave that's sick. And again, when we say those words, when we say Roman soldier, when we say slave owner, what do we immediately think? We think bad guy. We think all the negative things that we've heard anytime, anywhere, anyhow, and we put it on him. Now, what do the Jewish folks, look right in the text, and listen, I'm going to make you say it so you know I'm not making this up, because if you earn it, you learn it. So how do they feel about this fella? He's worthy of what? He's worthy of having Jesus. Now hang on. Time out. We missed something. Why are they trying to get Jesus to help this fella out? But why are they coming to Jesus in the first place? Look, see if you can tell me what happened first. He's got a highly valued servant. That's right. Keep going. He doesn't feel worthy. That's all good. You jump too far. Yeah, there you go. Back up to verse 3. Back up to verse 3. The centurion, say it, heard of Jesus. Underline it. Underline it. How did the centurion, now, simple point, not going to press, but how did he hear about Jesus? Stay in the book, stay in the context of this book, stay in this moment in time. How did this Roman soldier in a Jewish outpost, how did he hear about Jesus? From the people? Word of mouth. How did he hear? Maybe he was standing guard when they heard them talking. Where'd they hear? I'm going to push one more time. Where'd they hear about him? Where did he hear about Jesus? Or how did he hear about Jesus? Now you know this. And it's way too simple a question, and that's why it's hard to answer. You're looking for something deeper. Somebody told him. Somebody told the story. Now back up, stay in the book of Luke. We've read this together now, so you got it. I know you've got it right at the tip of your fingers. It's right on your brain, it's right on the tip of your tongue. You've got it, right? It's in your heart and on your lips, right? You didn't answer. That's good. That's wise. You didn't lie. Okay, good. Jesus touches a leper. The leper is cleansed. And Jesus says, go show yourself to the priest, but don't tell anybody. And what did he do? He told everybody. I mean, he calms storms, and they tell everybody. He casts out demons, they tell everybody. He cleanses lepers, raises the dead, they tell everybody. Now, time out a second. How did a Roman soldier in a Jewish town that far away from Jerusalem, how did that man hear about Jesus? It's because people were talking about the great things, the good things, the amazing thing that Jesus was doing. Now, what's my point? What do you think my first point is going to be to those of us who sit in church every Sunday and who've sat in church every Sunday all of our lives? We've sung the songs, prayed the prayers, endured the sermons. We've done all of that. And what do? We act like we don't have anything to say, right? We act like we don't have anything to say. Is it possible that we've gotten more, I don't know what you want, bored than these folks were with Jesus? Maybe church did it, maybe preachers did it. I don't know who to blame. I'll take part of the blame. But there were people talking about Jesus, and because people were talking about Jesus, this man heard. That's going to be important in a minute, but this man heard. I just want to make the point. Have you talked to Jesus? Have you talked about Jesus to anybody? Now, I'm not saying if you invited them to church. They're welcome here. You can invite them to church. Somebody must have been inviting, because we got some folks here that are here for the very first time. So that's good. We're glad you're invited. And I hope you keep inviting people to church. But that's not what we're talking about here. Have we talked to people about Jesus and good things that Jesus has done and good things Jesus has done for you? Is that a part of our conversation, or have we stopped talking about him? I'm just saying, this centurion knew about Jesus because somebody had been talking. And an old preacher said this, kind of like gossip. Said, we don't gossip. We want to just talk about Jesus. Like, did you hear what Jesus did? Did you hear what Jesus did? Did you hear what Jesus said? And just talk about Jesus. Anyway, centurion heard about Jesus, and he's got a highly valued slave that he wants to be made well. So the Jews do what? They go to Jesus. Makes sense, right? So the Jews go to Jesus to represent this good man, and they say, we want you to help him out. We want you to heal his servant. A couple of reasons why. One, he loves our nation. This man who was an outsider, this man who was a soldier, this man who was a part of an occupying force that would give everybody reason to think that he was a mean, bully, hateful, conquering enemy. How did he feel about those people? He loved them. How did he feel about their religion? He built their synagogue. Sort of. Tell me what you notice about this guy. Just what you heard. Tell me about the guy. He's a good guy, right? He's a good guy. He's not like all those others, right? He's not like one of them. He's a good guy. He loves our nation. He built our church. He really deserves you to do this for him. I think that's interesting you said it. He really deserves for you to help him. That's how they felt, right? So what does Jesus do? No way, man. He's an outsider. He's a Roman. He's a soldier. He kills people. He's a part of an army that's been brutalizing people. He comes from a Caesar who is just crazier than a loon. Is that what Jesus does? He's not a Jewish person. He's never been circumcised. He doesn't obey the law. He doesn't follow the commandments. He's never been to the temple. Is that what he said? What did he do? What did Jesus do? He went. Said, okay, let's go. As they get close, keep reading. As they get close to the house, what does the sin? You got to pay attention. Pay attention to the word. Pay attention to the word. What did the centurion do? Excuse me. He sent his friends. He sent his friends to say what to Jesus? I heard that, but I didn't hear it. No, don't trouble yourself, Jesus. Don't trouble yourself, Jesus. Why? Now, I want you to read it, and we're going to list them. Why? I'm not worthy, and I don't consider myself worthy, and I'm a man of authority. I'm just like you. I can say to one soldier, go, and another soldier come, and the servant do this, and he does it. You don't even have to come into my house, and I'm not worthy. Did he say... Excuse me. Did he say, did you notice he said, I did not feel worthy. That's why I didn't come to you myself. So tell me what you know about the fella. He's humble. There's no finger wagging. I'm not blaming anybody, not fussing at anybody. I'm just trying to make sure we hear it. Y'all got me excited and I pull my vocal cord. Do you ever start asking Jesus for things and you get really kind of hateful? You get really kind of demanding? I don't understand why you don't do what I want. Why can't I understand? Where were you? Why didn't you show up when I need? None of us would ever do that. But I've heard that there are people that do that. Do we ever get that way? Do we ever feel like somehow we deserve? When we pray, Jesus better snap to. He better show up because we've been expecting him to show up, right? This man doesn't have any expectation like that. He's very humble and he's very respectful. But there's something else here, and that's what I want you to know. I'll give you one more chance. He was humble, yes. He's respectful. Yes. What else do you know? All right, so what do you call that? If he knows that Jesus doesn't even have to make it to the house, if he knows that Jesus is also a man of authority who can say what he wants, when he wants, how he wants. Say it again. It's his faith. How do I know? How did Brad know? Keep reading. Look, is it verse 9? Is verse 9 got one of the neatest verses in the whole Bible? Jesus listened to him and did what? Marveled, was amazed at his... Well, I'm so glad you paid for that church building for those Jewish people. I think I'll... No. He didn't mention a Jewish church building. He didn't mention what the Jews thought about him. What did Jesus think about him? He marveled at him. He was amazed at him. Why? Because of his... You said it. So I'm going to make you say it one more time so it sticks. He was amazed at him because of his many good works, because he did everything right, because he was the right race, because he was the right religion. He was amazed at him because of his, one more time? One more time? Because of his faith. Hold it. How did this fella, this Roman fella, not raised a Jew, live in a Jewish town, but not a practicing Jew, how did this man come to have faith in Jesus? You know the answer. You know the answer. How does faith come? By hearing. The words they heard from God, the words he heard, as others told about the works that Jesus did, that gave him faith. And that amazed Jesus. You want to impress Jesus? You want to impress Jesus? I go to church every Sunday. Well, good. I'm glad you do. I know better because you miss a bunch and I'm here. Unless you show up when I'm not here. That could be the problem, right? We try to impress people, or we try to impress the Lord with how good I don't dance, cuss, drink, smoke, spit, chew, or go with girls that do. That's good. I'm glad. That's not what impresses Jesus. How much you go to church. How many good things you do or how many bad things you don't do is not what impresses Jesus. What impresses Jesus? Faith. The fact that he knows, Jesus, you can just say it and it'll be done. It amazed Jesus. Circle it. Amazed. Because it's, I want to amaze. This man's amazing. So what happened? What happened? Not yet. Now that's advanced student right there. She's ahead of y'all. That's normal. No, before that. Don't miss this lesson, because here's the lesson is Jesus taught the Jewish folks that were there, I've not seen this kind of faith even in Israel. Now, so what's the point? You people that have been Bible readers and Sunday school goers all your life, what's the point? I see a faith here in this fella that I don't even see in Israel. What's the point? Israel was God's people. Israel were the people that were standing right there at the mountain when Moses went up, remember, 40 days up in the mountain, came back holding 10 commandments, 10 commandments carved in stone with the finger of God. The Bible says so. And they didn't have this faith. These were the folks who saw the Red Sea part. These were the folks that saw bread rain from heaven. These were the folks that saw water pour out of a rock. These were the folks that stepped in the Jordan River and it dried up. These were the folks that walked around Jericho and it fell down. These are the folks that had God working for. They were a royal priesthood, a holy nation, a people of God's own possession. And when it came to Jesus, these are the people that are going to deny him and curse him and betray him and turn him over to be crucified. Now, any lesson in that for us? Any lesson in that for us? Is it possible, tell me, is it possible that there are people out there that never made it into here? Because I got to be honest, the fact that you came here says something about your faith. You don't come to this side of town, and you don't come into this side of kind of a building, and you don't listen to this kind of teacher. You got to have something going for you, right? Or something going against you, and you need some extra help. You think, okay, I'm desperate enough, I'll go to that church, all right? That's us. But is it possible that we've forgotten that there are people out there that have a faith that is amazing, and we've kind of gotten tired or bored or calloused or complacent, lukewarm? Has that ever happened to us? I don't know all the people. I don't know all the people on this little Zoom call thing, but every morning at 7:30, every morning at 7:30, I push a button and I get on this Zoom call, and there are people from California, Oregon, all the West Coast, over to the East Coast, and lots of places in between. And that, most days there's about 100. There's some days it's a little more, some days it's a little less, but it's about 100. I'm not trying to impress you with the number. I'm trying to impress you with the faith I see and the things I hear. I listen to people say things. I watch people. I hear later from people they want to visit and get to talk to them personally. And I see some faith in them. I see some enthusiasm in them. I see some devotion in them that sometimes I don't see. Is it possible that we've become like Israel and we've crossed all the T's, dotted all the I's, kept all the rules, and we lost faith? We just stopped believing. That happen? Can that happen? Yeah. And the lesson Jesus tried to teach me here is, Rex, I'm not impressed with your obedience. I'm not impressed with your sacrifices. I'm impressed with your faith that causes obedience. I'm impressed with faith that will lead to sacrifice. That's what I'm impressed with. So what happened? So what happened next? You're scared. It's verse 10. Don't be scared. The servants went home, and what'd they find? I can't tell you when it exactly dawned on me, but it hit me again today when I was teaching Facebook Live. That's at 8:15, and I was going through Luke 7 with them, and it dawned on me at the end of the lesson. I think it's right to be impressed with this centurion. Stay with me now. I think it's right to be impressed with this centurion. Is he a noble man? Is he humble? Is he respectful? Is he faith-filled? Yes. So is there reason for us to watch him, learn from him, and appreciate him? Yes, for sure. And maybe we ought to learn from that there are people like that. They may not have made it into church yet. They may not have all the doctrines down yet. They may not have all the church rules down yet, but they have faith. And they're looking for Jesus just like we once did. But it dawned on me, here's the point, it dawned on me while I'm talking to those folks at 8 o'clock, it dawned on me, the star of this show is not the centurion. I'm impressed with the centurion. I love the centurion. This guy's an impressive kind of guy. He's not like all the rest. He's not like all the rest. He loves these people, and he's good to these people, and he's respectful of their traditions, and he's helpful to them. Yes, he cares about this servant. There's all kinds of good things about this. But you know who the star of this show is? That's good too. But who's the star of this show? Who healed the servant? Who accepted the outsider? Who responded to his faith? Who rescued that servant? It's Jesus, right? So for people sitting in this room who are struggling with things, who've got some uncertainties, or got some fears, got some worries, got some struggles, here's good news for you. Jesus doesn't care where you've been. Listen to me. Jesus does not care where you've been, does not care what you've done. Believe in Him and let Him go to work. Believe in Him and let Him go to work in you. Well, I just don't know what's going to happen. I know. We got lots of Chicken Littles at our place too. I just don't know what's going to happen. Okay, yeah. Put your faith in Jesus and let Him go to work. Now, for those of us who claim, and I'm going to use the word claim, not saying we got there yet, but for those of us who claim to be walking with Jesus, what lesson should I get out of this? Let's make sure we have that same faith. Let's make sure that we accept those outsiders. Let's make sure that we don't overlook them. Let's be amazed at their faith and let their faith go to work. Make sense? I'm going to say it and repeat it about 4 times. In Luke chapter 7, you're going to see it. It's one of the unique places in the Gospels. Jesus, they're going to teach the same thing about Jesus every time. And this time they're teaching us that Jesus, the real Jesus cares. The real Jesus cares about people, and it does not matter to Him if they're outsiders. It does not matter if they've had the right religion. It doesn't matter if they've had the right practices. It doesn't matter if they've had the right education. That does not matter. He accepts them and accepts their faith and goes to work for them. But He also cares about an old boy who did everything right. This fellow's named John the Baptist. That's coming next week, Lord willing, and we have next week. He has some doubts. And I missed one. The next one is the widow. A widow lady means her husband's dead, and she's on her way to the graveyard to bury her only son. This woman there's nobody left in her life. She has nothing to offer anybody, and Jesus notices her. He cares about her. And then that John the Baptist who did everything right, and he's the one that introduced Jesus to the world, and then they locked him up, kept him locked up, and he doesn't know if Jesus is really the one that was supposed to come. He wants to know, did I make a mistake? And Jesus said, I want to tell you, there's nobody better. Nobody better than John the Baptist. And you go home and tell him what you saw today. He cares about people that even have real doubts. And then there was a woman who was so sinful, the guy that owned the house didn't think she ought to be in there. And she was so sad and so humble, she stayed behind Jesus and washed his feet with her tears, dried his feet with her hair. He cares about it. So here's the point. If you're sitting in this room and you feel like an outsider, and people have made you feel that way because of the way you look or the way you act or the record you have, it does not matter to him where you've been. He cares about you. It doesn't matter what other people say about you. He cares about you. If you feel like you're all alone, he cares about you. If you've been going to church all your life and you can quote the verses, sing the songs, but you have some doubts, he's not upset with you. He cares about you. And are you so ashamed of yourself that you can't bring yourself, you can't even bring yourself to say, to hope that somebody could forgive you because you just feel so unworthy. He cares about you too. Now, that's for folks that feel like they're out there. For those of us who are in here, how about maybe we need to be like that? We talk about being His church. How about being like Him? How about not just being of Him and learning the doctrines and making sure we've done what's right? How about being like Him? How about caring about people that are outsiders? How about caring for people who don't have anybody in their life? How about caring for people who've lost their faith and have some real doubts? How about caring for people who are so nasty nobody else wants to have anything to do with them? How about being like Jesus, right? Being a part of a church that's like Jesus. All right, while you consider those things, while you examine your own heart about those things, let's remember Jesus. All right? Now, some fellas are going to serve us. All right, so if you're new here, if this is your first time here, these folks are going to serve us. There's 2 cups in each hole, okay? Take both cups. In the bottom cup is bread. It's His body. And the purpose of that bread is for us to remember what His body did for us when He died on the cross, right? He gave us a chance to be forgiven. And then the top cup it's a little bit of grape juice, fruit of the vine, is what the Bible calls it. And it's His blood. And it's meant, and it's our intent, to let it remind us of the blood of Jesus that washes away our sins. If you'll notice, we're not checking church membership cards. We're not checking IDs. We're not checking your tithing record, because everybody is welcome with Jesus. Everybody's welcome with Jesus. He wants you to have a new life. He wants you to have a chance to start all over again. He wants you to have what He came to give us all. All right. Now, before we pray, we're going to sing one verse, just the first part of this song, okay? And let's not just sing it, let's hear it. Let's receive it.